path for spiritual living that recognizes the beauty of every spiritual philosophy. It aims at supporting people in their quest for a healthy and prosperous life, a life of significance. Revana Quintana and Osvaldo Mora, leaders of the bilingual ministry Unity Community of Light, are here every Sunday morning to bless you with either an inspiring dialogue and or meditation based on the powerful Unity teachings. Teachings that we are certain will lead you to a space of deep personal transformation. Please be welcome to Encuentro Espiritual English.
Good morning, everyone. This is Encuentro Espiritual English. We are Unity Community of Light. We are a ministry, an online ministry that is serving the purpose of spreading the word of Jesus Christ as a messenger that brings some words that are the truth that sets us free. I'm here, Osvaldo Mora, once again, as every week, our commitment. And I have my partner in crime here,
Nathan Jorgensen. Happy to be with you again.
Nathan Jorgensen. You know, last week we had this conversation about the law of my action. It's like, oh wow, it's been moving energy, and we've been connecting the dots. And now the chapter that we are about to discuss in this program is the power of the spoken word. And before we begin with this chapter, I need to share something. As we are friends, as we are all connected, what I'm gonna share is almost a secret because it's something that happened between your Nathan and me. But I need to share this. May I?
Go for it.
You know, when we were creating the pre-production of this program, I asked Nathan, "What do you think about the chapter that we're going to discuss next Sunday?" So Nathan tells me, "You know, Osvaldo, it's something that I don't love that chapter. I don't know if I will make any contribution to that Sunday." And I said, "Oh my God, that's the perfect way how we can create a powerful message, because this is not about being right or showing a face that trying to show that we know. This is a point where we can discover together what is this about, and anything that you have a question mark on, bring it. So we will discuss, we will realize what is it that is there, because everybody in this process is learning. You know, I do this masterclass every Tuesday, but they call that I am the teacher, but I don't consider myself as a teacher. I am a student. You see, I'm also a student, because all the things that I share in the class of this in the master class of Encuentro Espiritual in Spanish is about la búsqueda. Is some things that I know, but I haven't had the experience. So now it's like I'm living it again and again, not precisely as a teacher, but oh wow, I'm trying these new things that I'm sharing in class, and is helping me in a lot of different ways. You see, it's not I am the teacher and I'm here to teach you something. So here we are with my partner in crime, and we are ready to jump up into chapter 20 of the power of a spoken word.
Yeah, and I'll share a little too about my hesitance of when I thought, yeah, I didn't really like this chapter, and therefore, like, maybe you don't want me talking about it. And part of this was when the religion that I grew up in, you didn't speak against it. If the leaders of that said this is the truth, then you usually were expected to be like, yep, I agree. or yep, that's right. And so I thought, I don't want to be the one who's all negative or something, and be like, this book is the truth, the ultimate truth, because I don't really believe that it is, but it is good. It has great principles. And so I thought, do I want to be up there and, create doubt? But also reflecting on my own experience within Unity, because this is a Unity publication, but it's not something that everybody has to say, swear by this book and all these principles. And what I have enjoyed about Unity is that it's not about Unity being the one source of truth, the one thing we need to unite with. It's really about you. It's about me. It's about us finding ourselves. And so if there are things where I think, I don't really know if I like that, I also don't feel a ton of pressure to accept something that I don't believe. But I did have this hesitance of like, but if I didn't like it, do you really want me to get on and say, yeah, it's awesome? So I'm glad we're here to talk about the process.
And definitely, my friend, whatever result we get after these 20 minutes, that is the remaining time in our program, it'll be the fruit of this powerful time that it's been a week of discerning. What is it that is about? What is it that I can connect? And da, 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 da. So last week we talked about the law of mind action. So we were saying that our thoughts create our reality. And what is it that we do after we think? What is it that we do after we think?
Yeah, I'll one of the first ways that our thoughts come into being that can be perceived by others is through our words and what we say. And a thought I had come up that I'm reminded of is within Taoism, and in the Tao Te Ching, it opens by saying the Tao, which is basically the way that can be followed is not the true way, and the name that can be named is not the true name, which is philosophical. It can be very complex, but what it really is saying is that there's this idea of the way. And once we try to define it and we say, this is the path I'm going to follow, well, we've already disconnected from the truth. And so we have truth, beauty, realities in our mind, and we're limited with our bodies, we're limited with our language, with the abilities that we have to somehow express that. So every time we express it, we might have this like, it wasn't quite what I got it out there, but it wasn't exactly what I was hoping to do, right? And this idea of like a name, if we can name it and we start trying to describe it, we've already missed it by just a little bit, by the truth of what it is. And yet, words are still an expression. That is one way that we can bring these thoughts into reality.
Once again, I remember that last time you talk about reality, and that's where I'm gonna catch this flow. Remember that if we don't have a clear vision that where we are heading, that where we are going, whatever we think, it will be in terms of survival. Just doesn't matter tomorrow. Don't make plans. Just be here, be in the now. But hold on. Let's don't mess things, because I know clearly where I'm going. It's like from Raleigh to New York. But I don't want to control all the things that happen in that trip. I cannot. But the only thing that I know is that I'm going to New York. And let's use one personal example. 2018, I came from Ecuador to Florida. In Florida, I stayed with my son. He was a student in FSU, and it was July, and the plan was that I will bring my family, the rest of my family, from Ecuador in December. So I had 5 months to create everything, to bring them back to United States. At that moment, my financial situation was terrible because Ecuador was a failure, complete failure in our financial plans. We learned a lot. Actually, everything that we learned in Ecuador, now we are putting in action, right now. So the thing is, with Marlene, my wife, we decided to come and to live in North Carolina. That was always our dream, but we didn't know where. So one day I remember that I opened up the laptop and I checked map of North Carolina, and then I saw a triangle, a red triangle in the map. I say, yeah, I don't have to look anymore. There is the map. There is the sign, the divine sign. The triangle is telling me where we're gonna live. There was this triangle area: Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill. And then Marlene searched for the best city with the best high school for our child, and Daniel, that he was ready to get into high school. So they came up with this East Chapel Hill High School in Chapel Hill. So the zip code that I was supposed to find a place where to live was 17514. So that was the mission. That I came from Ecuador with the mission to find a place in North Carolina, Chapel Hill, in the zip code 27514. You see, that was my objective. That was my goal. After that, I get in Tallahassee. I had enough money. I think $300 after I bought a car. And then I said, I need to start working. And then I contact a lady in a healing center. And the first thing that she told me is, hey, hi, I've been waiting for your call. I said, what? Okay, so when we can meet? And I said, I don't know, whenever. I'm just here looking for a job, for an opportunity to make some money to rig my family. And I really thought that she was confusing, confusing myself with another person. I don't know. Maybe she's mistaken. How can she tell me that she was waiting for me? So when we met, she tells me that in meditation, she heard the voice that a shaman will come to work with you, help him. I said, really? Oh my gosh. I felt like, oh man. I felt honored, I said, great. So the next thing that I did in Tallahassee, because we were in Tallahassee, was look for a Unity Church. There were two Unity Church, but I picked the one that I felt in my heart. That's the one with Reverend Bill. So I went, I introduced myself, and that day, Nathan, Reverend Bill had a picture. When you get into Unity, you receive a piece of paper that is the program. So there was a picture of Ecuador in the program. So when I get to him and I introduce myself as Osvaldo Mora, coming from Ecuador, and I wanted to get in contact with Unity Churches, he says, oh my God, you see this picture? And I go, yeah, it's pretty familiar. That's a mountain in Ecuador. It looks like. And he says, yes, it is. We went to Ecuador with my wife. He introduces me, his wife, and I said, holy cow. Okay. So it's like everything was ready for me to be there. So to make it short, the story, there was this place that I was working in healings, and the lady of this place, she offered me a place to stay with my family, a house. It was a big farm, and there was a house. And she told me, Osvaldo, here is a house for you. You don't want to have to pay more than the bills that to sustain the house. I won't charge you rent. You can stay the time that you want. You can bring your family. You can establish your life here. It will be wonderful to me because I said, holy cow, I have a house. I have friends. I have work. My calendar, my friend, it was busy with 6 clients every day for 3 weeks in a row. Everybody wants to have a session with a shaman. That was crazy, my friend. But at the moment that I communicate that I am coming to live in Chapel Hill, that's my vision, that is my dream, people start getting mad at me. Why? Because I wasn't grateful with all the things that they were offering me to stay. So I was complete. Why is it that I'm telling you this story? Because I was completely clear where I was heading, and every single word was connected to that purpose. You see, I didn't say, you know what, let me think. It's a good, that's a good proposal that I can have a house. I have job here. No. When I told Marlene also told me, no way. We are not planning. We never plan to stay in Florida. We never plan to stay in Tallahassee. So we need to go. Our target is North Carolina. Remember, that is our dream. I know that's our dream. So I came here in September to know Chapel Hill, to know the place where I'm going to come with my family, Nathan. And when I felt the energy of Chapel Hill, that is just hugging me, and I said, oh my, this is it. 49 years of looking for the place where I belong, and happens to be Chapel Hill. You see, so what is it that I'm telling you all of this? Because of that. If you keep your vision clear and you declare and you do things based on that, you will get the result that you're looking for. What do you think, my friend? I'm sorry that I took all of this time.
No, I love it. I love the story. I think it's a beautiful story, and I'm glad you shared it. And I'm thinking as well, I like what you say about the vision, because when you have that vision, you weren't like too obsessed with it and saying I'll never ever be happy until I get there, but more like, okay, I've got some things to do, but that's where I'm going, and I'm not going to be impatient, but I'm also not going to settle. And when you have that vision, thinking about what we talked about last week about thoughts in our mind, right? All sorts of things are going to come up, but when we have a vision and say, but this is what I want, this is where I want to be, or what I want to be doing, it's much easier to recognize the things to not pay attention to, the things to not give into, to say, maybe this is great, but it's temporary and I'm going somewhere else. So I'm not going to give all that time and energy to it. And I think, I don't have as profound of a story to share, but I feel like I'm on a similar journey to what you're saying, in the sense that a lot of times if you're in college or if you're at a job, people will ask you about a 5-year and a 10-year plan. And usually it's career related, like where do you want to be in 5 years with your career, and what about 10 more? And I've had those sort of visions sometimes of like, well, that's good. Maybe in 5 years I'll be here. And it never works out that way. I never get to where I thought I would be. But I also realize I'm not just pursuing a very specific career goal or finding that fulfillment from a job title. So one, I know enough that even if I planned everything out perfectly for this, it probably wouldn't work out quite as well. But I have now a vision for my life and what I want with my life and what I want with my family. And that is really coming together. So I feel like I'm seeing bits of your story in my life of coming up to times like when I graduate from a degree, well, then you got to get a job, and thinking like, man, I don't know what that's going to be. And applying places, things don't work out. There's somewhere I read it and I think, that's not what it would be for it. That's not what would be for me anyway. But things are working out, right? It's sort of like the harmony works when it needs to work. I might be sort of blind for a little while and not really knowing, but I know, again, the vision and saying, this opportunity's far away. No, I'm not going to go there. And I, like you, actually, part of my vision is living where I live right now, in the community that I live, and building the community that I live in, rather than moving and chasing a dream. So, it's not as maybe not as cool as yours story yet, but I do feel like the pieces are coming together because I have a vision. And because of a vision, I'm not distracted by lots of extra things. It's just easier to identify like, no, that's not for me.
And Here in the power of the spoken word in the chapter 20, and every time that you speak, you influence your world. You are either building up, or tearing it down. And here is when is in a community, when we are connected in this survival mode, and we use this power of, look at this. How is it that we waste our energy? We waste our divine energy in the wrongful way of using the words, is when we gossip, when we get into these conversations where we have nothing to do with, and we know that we are not fixing and we are not helping in any way. Besides that, we are able to destroy whatever image or whatever intended to someone or something to be built. Because in the universe, nothing that I say, nothing that you say, is taken as a joke. Universe does in the universe, the language of the universe, the vibrations, the frequencies, doesn't know the difference between, oh, this is not serious, oh, they are just joking. No, we are the ones who, based on our mind, in the capacity that we have to create illusions, we create the illusion that whatever I say, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. It's just to say something, because it's that's what we used to do. This is something that we usually do. Talk about someone else. It's too hard to talk about ourselves. It's too deep to go. No, Osvaldo, please, let's change the subject. It's like, hey, hello, you. Master Jesus said, make sure that your yes is a yes and your not is a not. That's it. There is no kind of little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the power of words to tear down and the power of words to build up. I think reflecting on my own process, I think we have illusions, and sometimes those need to be torn down. And a book that I have read about kind of the energy of emotions, that the emotional state we're in has a certain energy to it. The lowest being despair, right? If you're in despair, you have almost no hope. No, you don't want to do anything, even get up. And, there's this threshold of like kind of negative emotions that they do have energy with them. And at the threshold of going from negative to positive is anger. And I think for me, kind of tearing down some of my old beliefs or old ideologies, yeah, I probably spoke more negative words. And part of that is because I was tearing down. And I think there is some value to at least talking about those feelings, to process them, but not to live in that state, right? Anger, I think, actually has a purpose, because if you're angry about something, that's telling you that something is off, right? There's some mismatch, some disconnect. So anger has a purpose, and it's natural that we feel it, as are all emotions, but their purpose is not to stay with us forever. So if I feel angry about something, I'm not going to feel all guilty then. And, if I was a holy person, if I was as spiritual as I should be, I'd never feel angry. Oh, I'm going to blame myself. And then it just puts you back into more negative emotions. But recognizing that anger can have a purpose, but I need to rise above it, right? I need to use the energy of anger to now motivate me toward a purpose, rather than just throwing out that anger and putting it out into the world with my words, which is hurtful and brings things down. But to realize, okay, I have this, it's motivating me. What is wrong here? Think about that emotion and then say, okay, now I see what's wrong. Now I'm going to try to move above that, move toward a vision that takes that thing out of my way.
Now that you mentioned about anger, in Hawaiian shamanism, we were working when I went to my first initiation in Hawaiian shamanism in the island of Kona. I remember that we were, with the open sea and this beautiful landscape, and everything was beautiful. I can smell. So Larry Kessler, that was our shaman guide, he says something that, all the time I'm just bringing and bringing. He says, anger allows us to work in our power. Because you're never going to see someone without power being angry. You see? And sadness help us to work what we love. Because we miss something. But this thing that we call guilt has no purpose. It's good for nothing. So make sure that you have a clear vision on what is it that you're experiencing. And if you detect some guilt, please remember that's good for nothing. And then, of course, I remember that I was talking about religion in 2 or 3 classes ago, and then someone called me to my cell phone and he says, "Hey, Osvaldo, why you talk about Catholics like that?" And I said, "Wait a minute. I never spoke about Catholics. I may speak about church. I may spoke about religion, because in my perception, anything that puts me in a box, in dogmas and all of those things, are just preventing myself to explore my real being. But I've never talked about people. I talk about methods. I talk about systems, but no about people. So I had to clarify that, because in part of this ritualistic Sunday, something that is my fall. You see, it's like all of this is my fall. So I am the guilty one in this picture. And guilt has no purpose in our divine consciousness. So guilt doesn't exist, because every single thing in our lives has a purpose. If I fail and I pay attention, what is it that make me fail? I will learn, and then I will grow. But if I keep that in a guilt state, it will never fulfill the purpose of helping me to grow. You see? So anger will pass. Just breathe. Transmute. And then if you are sad because of the results, remember, love in a state of forgiveness. That will help you to transmute whatever residual you have about the situation that you are confronting. But by no reason, please let go any guilt that you experience in any situation in your life. Tan. My friend, we are almost time to wrap it up.
Yeah. I'll add my final words to yours. Be yourself, come to understand yourself better, be with yourself, and be okay with that. And don't judge yourself, and don't judge the process, because with guilt and with judgment, the process really stops. The only point of that is to say, stop growing, stop expanding, feel bad, and you get smaller and smaller. So be with yourself, and you'll enjoy it in time.
Hug yourself. Okay, Nathan, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank everyone for being here, for supporting, for subscribe to the channel, saying yes. Any opinion counts, any suggestion counts, and we will be, adding some stuff, because we are very enthusiastic with this with this idea that Nathan Jorgensen and Osvaldo Mora, happy to be with you every Sunday, 10 a.m. in YouTube and Facebook, whatever channel you choose to be in Unity Community of Light. See you next week.
Bye.
Unity COML, Unity Comunidad de Luz, Community of Light. It's a ministry of love, big commitment to help everyone who's ready explore principles of truth that can really bring healing, prosperity, and all the good that God always has in store for each one of us. If you feel truly in your heart that we are serving you and that you feel that you are expanding in every way and would love to give back and make sure that others are benefited just as well, we highly encourage you to donate. Do a love offering based on the love, appreciation, gratitude, and joy that you are receiving from the source to transform your life. Visit us at unitycoml.org and do what is yours to do from that place that knows that there's abundance for all.
As always say, asking is giving, and that's how we support our ministry. You need our help, and everything goes together.
Divine love, through you, through us, blesses and multiplies all that we are, all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive. And so it is.
So it is.
Amen.